Yes. How many class we have? Four class or five class? I think I remember that five class. Uh, our main topic is the Buddhism, like a four lineage Buddhism in Tibet. So this is our topic, and uh, I don't know what you expected the learning from this four lineage, and also uh, my personal myself more studied the one lineage, right? Gelugpa lineage. I follow the Gelugpa lineage whole my time, most of my time spent with the learning the Gelugpa lineages. But therefore, I don't know deep the other lineages are. And then, therefore, I don't know how much uh, I can help you. But I might try best. I'm trying my best. Um, and then also this is uh, connected with a mini history, and also that history is not. I'm not really a professional on history. Um, that's also difficult for me. And what should I say? And also this is a little bit different than talks about four tenet school. The four tenet school, I can talk clearly what it is, what text said, but the four lineages, it's a little bit sensitive topic because all these lineages are present today, and then they are saying my lineages are best as usual. People said it. Um, therefore, I'll try my best to like much the like goes with the more detailed information, and that's the one things I want to clarify at the very beginning. And then four lineages, it's like say four major lineages. Sometime you might see in another text four tenet instead of lineages. Or for school, you might see for school instead of lineages. The best, we use the lineages. In Tibetan, say chu yu is lineages. Because if we use the term of the for school or for tenet, it makes more confused with our general for tenet school, Buddhism for tenet school. Um, so therefore, sometimes you see that the four tenet or four school, but you not what really talks about that you should see it, and then either this for lineage or for school or power tenet. Uh, to try to understand clearly. So otherwise, sometimes we just see the title and then decide it what it is, but not really, right? The four lineages title, you might see something for tenet. Oh, now it's books for tenet. I should buy it because I'm learning it. Could be wrong. So shouldn't decide it by the term or title of a book, right? Um, therefore, we are using the four lineages, but as I said, in Tibetan, Dupta, or they use the Dupta. Dupta is tenet school. They use it, but when we look at the book, Actually, it's lineages, not the four tenets. And then it's a four major lineages, but it's not just four, because in Tibet, Buddhism Tibetan, there are many lineages there, which is not included here. Shije, Jonangba, Bodongba, and yeah, Chu and Shije same. Yeah, these are not included here, and I include here Kadam lineage. The Kadam lineage is not different than what Gelugpa lineage, but I just put it here to know what are the first and second, right? Okay, so therefore, what I try to say is use the lineages, not the terms, not the terms of tenet and school. Okay, and for me, lineages mean four different instructor. Yeah, four different instructor or five different instructor. Just general say four different instructor. That's the only difference. What the difference between these four or five lineages is instructor, source of instructor, and then the way to meditate and order of practice. They are a little bit different, that order of practice, or they are a little bit different that way to meditate, and also a little bit different that the viewpoint. So therefore, the four lineages, you can think four different instructor. Otherwise, the basic all same. Because the Tibetan Buddhists all are accepting the Prasangika view. It's only one tenet school's view, right? Same. Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, Gelug, all their viewpoints are the Prasangika view. That's exactly same. And then all these are practiced both Sutra and Tantra. All these are practiced, even Tantra, there are many similarities, there are similar deities or some, or unique deities, or like a more focus on some deities. Some lineages are not, some lineages are more focused on that. These are different, right? This is only different. And then sometimes people thinking that the four lineages and four tenets are same, right? So, but definitely this is the big difference. As I say, four tenet school is divided by the viewpoint. The four tenet school is only divided by, or what divided, or divided, right? Okay, divided by the viewpoint. But the four lineages here, the same view, all are the one tenet school's view, the Prasangika view as the same. So therefore, that is totally separate, different than for tenet school. Okay. The first things, before we talk the Tibetan, the four lineages, four major lineages, also need to be clarify one things here. Many of them saying Tibetan Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism, or Mongolian Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism. And some of our scholars say we shouldn't use that terms that say Tibetan Buddhism, Mongolian Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, right? Look at the other religions. They are not says that the Italian, like a what called Christian, Italian Christian, or like a American Christian. It's not said that. Islamic are same, right? It's not says is Indian Islamic. It's not says like American Islamic, Tibetan Islamic. It's not says Islamic. General is Islamic. General is Christian, right? General is a Hindu, right? The Hindu is not made different by the countries, right? Wherever they live, we not say Indian Hindu, Sri Lanka Hindu. We not say that, right? It's Hindu. Same way, Buddhist or Buddhism, right? And not that Tibetan Buddhism and then Chinese Buddhism. It's Buddhism. So therefore, they are the scholar are mentioning. Better say Buddhism in Tibet, Buddhism in China, Buddhism in Mongolia, or there and there, right? It's not the Tibetan Buddhism. So maybe they might have some confusions if we use the Tibetan Buddhism, Mongolian Buddhism. Therefore, they're strongly mentioning on that. Do not use that term. Use Buddhism in Tibet. So therefore, we're talking the four lineages, Buddhism in Tibet. Okay. That's the one thing. And so before we go this each lineage, there the practice and source, we talk each lineage, the general how Buddhists come into this is related and important to know how Buddhists come to Tibet. And then when the lineages are established. Okay. Also, this time in India, all lineages comes together and having many time that seminars or panel discussion on their own view. So their talks on their own viewpoint, on the meditation practice, on morality practice, that talks that. So, and then a lot of different terms there, but the inside, when they talks, when I listen to them, the inside meanings are exactly the same. But use the term is very tricky for us to, the special that other lineages, Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, they use their own term for all this practice. And then sometime even not really try to understand what does this mean of each term, that makes us confused. So therefore, for example, say Nyingmapa using that, the viewpoint, meditation part is like a thoughtless meditation. And then Hashang also used thoughtless meditation, right? Nyingmapa use also the thoughtless meditation. If we not look at what is really this different, but the term is the same, how Hashang uses thoughtless meditation, And then, you know, when they meditate on emptiness, it's thoughtless. Nyingma was saying also that when meditate on emptiness, it's thoughtless. You should be do the thoughtless meditation. But there are big difference between Hashang and Nyingma's thoughtless meditation. Therefore, even terms are tricky, right? That same term, but a big different meaning. So therefore, study more deeper will be better understand. Okay, so otherwise just stay with the terms. It's a lot of confusions. Therefore, it's very important to go each lineage study more deeper way. So then we will understand clear. Okay, that's also one important things to make clear. And I'm going to explain the each lineage with what is their viewpoint, what is their the practice of meditation, and then what's their morality practice, right? We Tibetans say Ta Gom Che Sum. Ta means viewpoint. Gom means meditations. Che is behavior or discipline, ethics. That's the Che. So what the difference between each lineage, how they do, how they instructed. That's how I'm going to talk more in lineage, but it will be start from next class. So today I'm talking general how Buddhists came to Tibet. Okay, so it's in actually the earlier we arrived, the textbook is not really studied. Therefore, not really says, okay, Buddhism is began, right? Before Songtsen Gampo, 33rd king Songtsen Gampo, we do have a Buddhist textbook, few Buddhist textbook, which is received from India. Someone carry it, and the king keep that. But no one can read it, no one understand what is this meaning. Just keep there. And 33rd king Songtsen Gampo, he began, that's the, you can think that Tibetan Buddhism began in Tibet on around 7 centuries, King Songtsen Gampo time, right? Because King Songtsen Gampo time, he sends many the intelligence young kids to India, study. They went to both Vikramshila and Nalanda. Then they studied all this Sanskrit language, and then studies Buddhism. And then finally, one of his minister, he put the minister letter. The past when his name is Tumisambuddha. When he came back to Tibet, and then he translated few Buddhism texts into Tibetan texts. That he is the first translator in Tibet from Sanskrit to Tibetan language. So, and then also they began that study of that. King also tried to study it, that the Buddhist, what he translated, and also practicing the Avalokiteshvara's practice, they reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, and they do like Avalokiteshvara practice and so other things. They began, but not really flourish.
It didn't take root, didn't flourish, like wise.
Not to take root. It's not make wise. It's just like in the king palace, pure. They study it and then practice, and they translate it. Because at the time, have to be each kings are very careful. We have to be very careful to start Buddhism in Tibet, because the Bon is the first religious in our Tibet, and many of them, most of Tibetan are the Bon tradition, the Bon the follower, right? And then they will start the Buddhism. There are many ministers and many public do not like that Buddhism, because they think that we already have our own religious burden. Therefore, it's a lot of obstacle and disturbing over there. So, therefore, the King Songtsen Gampo time cannot split it in the public. So just do like a small group to do practice, and then this is how we think the begin Buddhism in Tibet, because it's practice, study both. And then 38 King Trisung Deozen is a Buddhism spread and flourish in Tibet. Now it's in public, but it's very skillful way, because King Trisung Deozen's he have a very few minister who likes to Buddhism. Very few ministers there, and most our ministers are a Bon follower, and who does not like Buddhism, right? So, and then King Trisong Dezen, one of his ministers called Basenlang, he sent him to India to find the great master who can come to Tibet and teaching all this Buddhism. And he went to India, and then he couldn't really found it. And then when he back from Nepal, the India to Nepal, then back to Tibet. While he back from India, then he rest in Nepal, and then also he have some gift to Nepal king. And he went to see the Nepal king to present the gift from Tibet king Trisong Dezen. And at the time, Shandarakshita was there. The Shandarakshita is the the main spiritual teacher of Nepali king. So Shandarakshita is there, and he met the Shandarakshita, and then he received some teaching from Shandarakshita while he in Nepal before he depart to Tibet. So, and then he also received initiation from Shandarakshita, and then he feel very good, and then he offer all this his goal, what he have it, then request to Shandarakshita, please come to Tibet, we are looking teacher. And Shandarakshita very happy to hear that, because he dedicated. So he already dedicated to come to Tibet, because one way say, the karmic connections, right? Like say Buddha Shakyamuni we do have a karmic connection with the Buddha Shakyamuni, not the other Buddhas. Sometime even Manjushri can teach it. Manjushri sending that disciple to another teacher, like Manjushri sent the always crying Bodhisattva to Bodhisattva Chopa, because Manjushri can teach emptiness, but also not enough that knowing each other or familiarity. Also need some kind of karmic connections would be better understand. We believe that. So therefore, and then the Shandarakshita, his many lifetime before, he and King Shizong Dezen, they met, they prayed together, they wished together many times. And then also, therefore, Chandarakshita, it's very feel good, and he dedicated to come to Tibet and teaches. That's he just feel that I'm waiting for that. You know, when his minister Baselnang asked to him, he very could feel good that oh yeah, I'm waiting for that. I definitely come because I have a very good karmic connection from all this my previous life to come to Tibet and teach, because all these Tibetans are have karmic connection. We do have a karmic connections. So that's he accepted, happily accepted. Then minister went to Tibet, and then all this give information to Tibet kings Trizong Dezen, right? Are you enjoy to hear these things or
Yes.
boring?
Yes.
Okay. So, and then, of course, as I earlier said, very difficult, right? Then King Trizong Dezen said, okay, he give information when no one's there, only king and him. So, and King Trizong Dezen say, okay, now you should quiet, not mentioning. You go back to your country and stay there. Otherwise, you might be killed by other the peoples, right? And I will try some. I will use my some skill, and then I will call you back one day. And then like Basenang went back to his country, and then while Chisung Dizin is challenging with each minister, and then they are who don't like the Buddhism, that he slowly changed and what called replaced the other minister, and then like presented.
Some of them resigned.
Yeah, some of them resigned, and then he make the all minister are slowly the who keep the minister replace who like Buddhist, and he become more stronger then. Now he got more supporter. Then one day he had a meeting, then called all this minister. Okay, now from our early king, Songtsen Gampo or Hatodri, we have a Buddhist text, and then also Songtsen Gampo, a time that started and this practices, and it's we should keep that culture. We should keep that culture, and then how we do. We should start Buddhism more widely. How we do, and then the Muslim minister accepted because they're who like the Dharma, right? Buddhist, the minister are. Then they suggest to king, okay, why not we call Basena, because he went to India, he knows who we can invite the master. We must invite master. And then king, they called Basena come back to the palace, and then ask him to go to India to invite. So king really pretended, okay, so we like you go to invite some master. What do you have a thought? Because you have experience that you went to India. So then king, the Basenang, the minister Basenang, repeat all these things which he already talked to king, repeat in front of all minister. Okay, I know that this and that, everything here. Then all agreed. Then he went to Nepal to invite Chandarakshita, and then as Chandarakshita, when Chandarakshita get close to Tibet, and then king sent the many his minister for welcoming, and then when the Chandarakshita come very close to palace, and then king also went to receive welcome. But some of ministers say, okay, why not we one more time test and examine him? Because from India, there are many magicians or many fake dharmas bringing here in Tibet. It could be. So therefore, as he's from Indian and he's from India, so he might be one of these. We never know. We go and test. And then king sent some his minister who knows the Hindi language. Then they ask, what is your religions? What do you practice? And then his answers, okay, I dedicate for my three jewels and keeps my vows are very well. And then I follow that religions, um, the make sense when I analyze this, and then abandoning which not make sense. So that's the only, it means like I'm following the religion which is rational. Um, that's he said it. And then okay, then they asked the king, oh yeah, he is now the perfect teacher, and he's not that Indian who come fake dharma with the fake dharma and some kind of magicians, you know, it's not that. And king invite him in the palace, and then Chandrashita start to talk 10 virtues, 12 independent originations, and some practice. He began with the 10 virtues, the morality practice, and then and then when he started, I think it's said in some history a few months later, it's what called pandemic, some disease, yeah, pandemic disease, like what do you call, yeah, pandemic disease, and then also having a lot of problem in Tibet at the time. There's some big monastery, some big, I think it's like, it's not monastery, some, the palace are destroyed by like the natural disaster. Yeah, natural disaster. There are a lot of problem having natural disaster or like pandemic disease. All this, a lot of problem happened at the time, and many in public now saying, okay, this is because of we bringing new religious Buddhism, so we shouldn't do this. And then they all strongly request to king to send back that master to India, and we not follow the Buddhism, you know. And then as public demand, king tried to do that, and it recurs to Chandrashita. So we have this problem right now, and we know that our lack of having good karma because cannot receive teaching from you, and we have to send back you in Nepal. And then please guide us what we do better way. And then when good times comes, I will invite you again. Then Chandrashita said, yeah, I know this happening. It's not that because of Buddhism. There's many who that spirit, right? Spirit, yeah. The spirit, local deities, all these who like burn. And at the time, burn traditions are very much worship to spirit. Earlier time, they very much worship and pray to spirit. And then most of local deities and spirit are like the burn followers, what called, they are supporting to burn follower because they do worship for them. So, and then Chandrashita thought, maybe this is the problem, because that the spirit and local deities are harming now in public. So therefore, you should invite Pema Sambhava. You know the Pema Sambhava, right? Guru Pema Sambhava. Okay. So Chandrashita said you should invite Guru Pema Sambhava. He's the great tantric practitioner, and he has a lot of the powerful tantric power and magic can be tempt this all spirit or overcome by this all spirit. He has a very powerful. You should invite him. So Pema Sambhava is one of the great he was monk before he took the old vows in I think Pema Sambhava born in North India, right? We were near the Dharamsala. And then when he was young, he's very intelligent. Maybe you might see that the Pema Sambhava's biography in online. There are many of them writing on that. So, however, yeah, and then after that he started to practice Tantra, and then also he married after he started Tantra practice. Then he tried to have some concert, right? And then he married with Haji Mendarawa and Kandu Ishitsuke. Haji Mendarawa is the one who concert the name. The Mendarawa is Pema Sambhava's youngest sister. And then, they have a very good relation between Pema Sambhava and Chandarakshita because his younger sister is the consort of Pema Sambhava, right? Kandu Ishitsogel or Mandara, maybe Ishitsogel. Ishitsogel is the Chandarakshita's younger sister. And then, yeah, as he advised, and then to invite Pema Sambhava. And then, yes, again, the Basamnang and few ministers sent to invite, as well as like bring back Chandarakshita in Nepal, same time inviting Pema Sambhava. They granted, and then they're saying in his story, Pema Sambhava has a clear mind. He already know that from Tibet, someone coming invite him as a Chandarakshita's advice. And he also already came to near Nepal, right? They meet it there, and then they request to come to Tibet to help. So, and then Pema Sambhava said, okay, I will come, continue. You go first. The old minister he sent back to earlier, then he came after that. To day by day, he always tempting, what called? Tamed all this, subduing all these local deities and spirit, and then make them like a protector for Dharma. He subdued them, all this their power. His power, he overcome by this all power, and they respect Pema Sambhava and ask what we do, and whatever they ask to Pema Sambhava to do, and then Pema Sambhava giving them job as a protector Dharma, Dharma protector. So therefore, most of Dharma protector are spirit before, even in India. So, and then finally, Pema Sambhava came to Tibet, and then to subdue all this who harms. Oracle, that's the first time he started in Tibet. He invite one local spirit in human body and ask him who really harms this all. And then that spirit says this and that. And then Pema Sambhava subdues all this spirit and local deities. And now all these are under the control of his the Pema Sambhavas. And then everything is more settled down and getting more peace. Then king decided to invite again that Chandarakshita from Nepal. They invited again. And then the Chandarakshita, you can think that Chandarakshita is our first teacher of Buddhism teacher, and who like a flourish Buddhism in Tibet, right? So Chandarakshita, they start to build temple, both Chandarakshita and Pema Sambhava together. I think Chandarakshita passed away in Tibet, but Pema Sambhava, some are saying he stayed in Tibet very short period. Some are saying almost 50 years. maybe the more 50 years is more makes sense when we look at the story. So he stayed in the 50 years in Tibet, and then he went back to India. So, but Chandrakshita, the whole life, he passed away in Tibet. Whatever the both Chandrakshita and Pema Sambhava comes together, and all this king, Pema Sambhava, and Chandrakshita, we Tibetan call Bodhisattva, Master Bodhisattva, instead of calling his name Chandrakshita, right? So we're not called Chandrakshita, Master Bodhisattva. So, and then Chandrakshita's, his own view is Sautantrika view. It's not the Prasangika view. His own view is Sautantrika view. And then he is the first master. And then he started, and then all this comes three, king and Pema Sambhavas, and then the master bodhisattvas comes together and build a big temple we call Samye. Today we call it Samye. The temple name is Samye. They again, when they build it, we do with a tricky. First, the fence, they build up the fence and saying we are training horse in there. So they build the fence and then slowly build up the temple. Has a lot of the history in this Samye temple. And also they have many department inside their temple. The department of meditation, department right? Yeah, department of meditation, department of translator, department of study, department of the other things, like I think 6-7 departments there. So they're all doing guided by Chandrakshita, Master Bodhisattva is the main guided. And then also he think if the Buddhism establishing in Tibet, then we must learning all this Buddhism in Tibetan language instead of Sanskrit language, because many of them don't know Sanskrit, right? So therefore, again, Chandrakshita asked the king to translate all this Mahayana Buddhism from Sanskrit to Tibet. And then again, king sent many intelligence to India to learn Sanskrit, and there's all these things. And then all this comes together, they translate what we have today, right? So you see here, invite all 192 scholars from Nalanda and Vikramshila, Buddhist University in India. Over 200 Tibetan translators worked with the India scholars. That comes together and translate. They did not translate at the one time. One time they just translate big, but the time by time, up to the scholar Mirtigyana, I think he's in 10th centuries, I think. No. I think the beginning of 9th century. So they start in the 8th century, the translator starting is in century, and the time by time, they always translate it, time by time they translate it up to like a beginning of 9th centuries. 9th century, okay. I think, sorry, it's 8th century because the Langdharma destroyed all this, right? Up to 8th century, okay. They translated. And then also the test with the 7 young kids to make them monk. They give the vows. And then they tested with the 7 youth, and then it was very success. Then now it's become big and big. And then all these monks and nuns, I don't know at the time the nuns are exit or not. Monks is definitely there. And then all these monks, day by day food and everything is given by a king. They don't have to go baking as like in India, and all these Buddhist followers are doing the baking, right? Because the king gives all the food. And then they grows. The monks groups are grows, translator are grows, study are growing. That's then it's really spread and flourish in Tibet Buddhism at the King Tuzum time. Okay, and one thing need to be clarified. Many of them saying, who started Buddhism in Tibet? Who's the first master? Many of them say Pema Sambhava. It's wrong. It is wrong because it's clearly there. Chandarakshita, Master Bodhisattva's came. He's the first abbot. He's the first who give the vows to the monks. He's the who first teach these virtues and all these dwelling, dependent origination and other things. He's the who first guided to translate all this Buddhism in Tibetan language. Also, he is the who invite Pamasambhava in Tibet, right? So therefore, we in history and in our Tibetan, most of them are saying our master Bodhisattva is the first master. He is the first who really established Buddhism in Tibet. Pamasambhava is definitely is a lot of help, Master Bodhisattvas, because he, therefore Pamasambhava is very kind to Tibet, very kind to Tibet, because without Pamasambhava, Chandrashita cannot establish Buddhism in Tibet because there are a lot of harms by spirit and local deities, right? So therefore, Pamasambhava is the biggest helper him to establish Buddhism. Therefore, very kind. But he's not the first master. He's not the main master who started Buddhism in Tibet. So therefore, who is the start first Buddhism in Tibet is the Chandarakshita or Master Bodhisattva, right? Okay. Of course, at the time, Chandarakshita also teaching, and at the same time, the Pamasambhava also teaching. There are many ministers and new monks and followers are also listening, receiving teaching from Pamasambhava. Yes, they do. And then King decided, in Tibet now, if we follow Buddhism, but to follow the viewpoint of Master Chandarakshita, and everything we follow how instructed by Chandarakshita. So that means at the time, also the teaching Chittamatra viewpoints, and the Chandarakshita, his main viewpoint is Sautantrika viewpoint, and Pamasambhava main viewpoint is Prasangika viewpoint. But when Pamasambhava teaches in Tibet, it's not always share his viewpoint. He look at what the disciple, what is suitable with the disciple. Sometimes they talk the viewpoint from Sautantrika, sometimes they talk the viewpoint of Chittamatra, sometimes they talk the viewpoint of Prasangika. So the different people to talk different. They're not really share what their viewpoint is. And but the Chandarakshita viewpoint is that Prasangika, like a Sautantrika viewpoint, they share it. He shared it this all to Tibet. Therefore, King decided we must follow Chandarakshita view and instructions. So, because why I'm saying this, as the Pamasambhava is the main founder of Nyingmapa lineage, the founder of the Nyingmapa lineages. If Pamasambhava is the founder of Nyingmapa lineages, then Pamasambhava must talk to Prasangika view always. But Pamasambhava did not talk Prasangika view always. And especially the most of them following the Chandarakshita's viewpoint as a Sautantrika, and also some are following the Chittamatra view. So therefore, at that time, when Chandarakshita and Pamasambhava is in Tibet, at the time, Most of them follow the South Tantrika viewpoint, and then some are Chittamatra. The very few are who talk very individually, share that Prasangika view. Very few are follow the Prasangika view. The majority are not. So, and this is how that king and the Bodhisattva and Pema Sambhava how established Buddhism in Tibet do openly. And next, King Tirebachen is more firm to make more stronger. They build more monastery, and then the monks are increases. Maybe at the time, nuns monastery, I remember that. The king Tirebachen time, the nunnery there, so nun monastery, nunnery and monastery for nun and monks. They have increased all these monks, and then they more study it, meditation, all this do, right? But again, we have a problem with the Hashang, right? Hashang. Because at the Samye monastery, as I said, they have a few different departments. Their meditation department, a study department, translator department, and some other department, which I don't remember it. So, and then from China, that Hashang came, I think it's around that King Tirebachen time. King Tirebachen time, Hashang came, right? And then, so Hashang joined to his main practice is thoughtless meditation, and he joined to the Department of Meditation. He went there and he meditated himself, and he shared his meditation to Tibetan people. And day by day, they're getting more less and less who studying department. There one department is like one school for study, right? And then one department for translator, one department for the meditations. And day by day, the translator and study getting more less and less. So then King noticed what happened now. So then, because they all now follow to Hashang, because he's skillful way to share his own thoughtless meditation, and then many of them follows now Hashang. Then King has another difficult now because the many people and scholars are following him as Hashang meditations method, and so then if King kick him out from Tibet, then having problem because he has many follower. He's follower, and he is very stronger now in Tibet. Then again, King remember it. One of his ministers remind him, okay, we know that happening is because Master Shandarakshita already mentioned it to us, guided to us. Because in Tibet, the non-Buddhists will not come to destroy the Buddhists. Inside Buddhism will be danger for destroy the Buddhism in Tibet. So, and then whenever you have a problem, then invite my disciple, Kamalashila. He's in India now. Kamalashila is in India. So Shandarakshita also guided to King, and King remember it. Then he sent that minister, some of the people to invite Kamalashila. And then Kamalashila came to Tibet, and then King decided, okay, all the public call together, and then I'm deciding today, Kamalashila and Hashang should debate it. Whoever win, we are following it. Whoever lose, they have to leave from Tibet. So then Kamalashila came, and then the King in the center, and then all these practitioner and scholar are surrounding by this Kamalashila and Hashang. And this King Hashang and Kamalashila debate in front of them. And then finally, the Hashang lost. The Hashang must leave to Tibet, right? And then king decide again. So we are not following Hashang's method, Hashang's practice now, because this is not the occurs, this is not the perfect one. We must follow the Kamalashilās. Kamalashila and Chandrakshita's viewpoint are same, South Tantrika viewpoint, because the Kamalashila is the disciple of Chandrakshita, right? And then king decided and then announced to people public, so we must follow this now, Kamalashila's viewpoint, and go back to like Chandrakshita's practice. And all this did it. And some of Hashang followers actually kill Kamalashila in Tibet because he lost, right? Whatever, okay. So, and this is, I think the king, the Tirapachan's time happening it. So, and then last king, 43rd king, Langdharma, he's the last king. So, and then he is not like an earlier king, he's very uneducated. And then he, you know, some kings are, you know, every country has that history. Some kings are very, what called, disgusting or naughty, right? So he's one of the like this. And then the who don't like the Buddhism, they are like now they think, oh, now our chance now. Our chance to go to Langdharma and serve him, make him happy, give him whatever you like, he like it. So then King Langdharma keeps again, another, they replace the old minister who don't like the Buddhism. And then they strongly suggest to Langdharma Buddhist, because we have a lot of problem because of Buddha Dharma, it's in Tibet, so we must destroy all. And then finally, the Langdharmas listened to his monastery minister, and then he destroyed all this. He burns all this textbook, and then he disrupted all monks and nuns who did not like to disrupt it. They kill it, and then all this monastery are destroyed. So, okay, so that's the I think the first time biggest destroyed Buddhism in Tibet. Yeah, it was in 8th centuries, right? 841. What's called years? Yeah, yeah, years of the 841. That the time is destroyed, right? Okay, so. And then no more kings in Tibet. And then all these things mess up. Each village, they have their own king now. And then they become more independent. They are not in one of the big, they are not under the one big department. Most of villages are become independent now. There's no king now, no more kings. But the lineages of kings are continued there. King Langdharma has his own the wife and son, you know, and then they are not really respected his sons. Therefore, his sons cannot become a king in Tibet. And then, you know, almost 100 years. It's like not religious, or everyone is independently surviving their own way. So like almost freedom, independence in Tibet. So almost 109 years, right? And and after like the years of 918. So at the time when king destroys all monastery and monks are disrupting, some monks are carry some text and they run. Their runs hide and to go the far from that where the king located. Right, they went very far. We call Lajin Gongbar Absel and some other practitioners. And after like 109 years, they come back, which is years of 918. And slowly they come back and they start some, give the vows to monks. They start some monks. They want to start Buddhism, but they cannot really start perfectly as like before. So, but however, they started the monks and nuns, and they started this and again slowly monastery, and then started to studies. But the most of texts is burned now, right? Most of texts are burned, and then we really didn't found. And then they only teach them what they remember it. This is how we have a lot of confusion in Buddhism, because some they remember, or some that practice they think they remember, but they are doing wrong, you know. So that's how the very much mess up Buddhism in Tibet after even they started. So the starting and destroying main point, we are looking at the Vinaya rule, right? They start from Vinaya rule to give them, make monks and nuns and give the vows. That's the they started. Not really what called academically studying the Buddhism, because the one things we don't have a text, another things no teachers, even teachers there, they don't remember all these things. And they're sharing some they remember, they're sharing something wrong, right? So, and then after years that 982, like almost like a 120 years later, that they invite Atisha, because the king region, Changjubu, also, yeah, the Changjubu and Yishiwu. Changjubu and Yishiwu is the king's regions, or son of the king. And then Yishiwu, Changjubu also sent, again collected like intelligent kids, and they sent to Kashmir and then other temple, India, to study again. As like a translator, Rinchen Sangbo, and then some other translator there. Changju will send them again to learn this all Sanskrit, and then they come back, and the second time they translated. Second time they translated all this Tibetan. All this Mahayana Buddhism from Sanskrit to Tibet. First, again, the second time who the first translating is called Rinchen Sangbo. Rinchen Sangbo is his name. But he is requested and sent it by the king, the regional king Changchuber, to study, send to Kashmir and they study all the Sanskrit and Buddhism. He come back and he lot of translated. He translated many textbooks. So that we call like a new translator. The above earlier are when the King Chisong Dezen time when they start translating, we call old translator. From Rinchen Sangbo, we call like a new translator. So I think Rinchen Sangbo is born in year of 900, what's called 58. Then he passed away year of 1055. 1000, he passed away on that. So between that, he studied and he translated many the book. Then again, kind of like I studied, still mess up. And then King Chanju, we're thinking not enough that translate all this textbook. We need a master. Then he tried to go to India, and then in the middle, some king caught him, and then he put in the jail, right? Because this story is in Atisha's biography in beginning of Lamrim. Is there. Very sad story. Especially they have a more detail with the hand of liberation of palm lip. Yeah, liberation of palm lip hand. So, and then Changzhu were quoted by the King Garlob, one of the Islamic king. Then he asked me, if you bringing the gold as like a your size, full body, then I will release you. Until then, I will not release you. So then his younger brother, Yeshiva, and tried to get this, collected all this gold, right? And then finally he get a gold up to here. Not only the hat, he went to see his brother, young elder brother, and I found gold up to here. Now only this much left. Now Changzhu Wei said, okay, I didn't expect it that you are doing so good things. So now you give me half, as you have to find gold after me here. Now you don't have to find another gold. All this gold, bring it to the India, go to India, invite the Atisha. So, and then he kind of, he's sacrificed now. If he cannot give the gold that the king, and then his lifetime in prison, and he's going to die in prison, right? He knows that, but he sacrificed. And then he sent this message to Atisha. That finally, they tried to like 2 or 3 times invite Atisha. First time, Atisha rejected. The second time, they couldn't see the Atisha. And third time that he sent the message, I sacrifice my life to invite you in Tibet. Please come. So and then finally, Atisha accepted and then came to Tibet, and then clarified all misconception and misunderstandings, and then teaching all this text, which is translated. And he's not that much teach Tantra in Tibet. He's most teaching the Sutrayana, and also most emphasize on refuge and bodhicitta, compassion. So because we can see clearly all this Kadamba, that's how it started Kadamba. The earliest Nyingma, but now after Adisha comes, that's how it started Kadamba lineage. And then we look at the Kadamba lineage textbook, most of them talks about either refuge, bodhicitta, emptiness. None of them talks about Tantra, right? So that's clearly what he tried to teach us, or what he really emphasized to practice in Tibet. So his time, Adisha's time, right? So, okay, so that, I said here the second is spreading and clarifying, because the first is Hashang. Hashang comes and then have a misunderstanding of all this Dhamma, and Kamalashila invited, they clarified. And this is the second clarifying. After Lang Dharmas, all the Buddhists are destroyed, almost 109 years, right? 190 years. I mean, yeah, 190 years is not really short period. So, and then few are there, but they cannot make really spread and make more deep and rooted, right? They cannot root it on that. So, and after Adisha comes, all this clarify, and Kadamba lineages become, and then again, the old Tibetan people have another opportunity to meet with, again, pure Dharma. All these misconceptions are clarified, and all these translate textbooks are teaching with it. And not the only Adisha. Adisha has many disciples, as a Domtemba and Potowa and so on and so on. They're also teaching, sharing, and we have a many translator. Earlier translator, Tibetan translator, not just their translator, not they just know 2 language. They are also practitioner. So therefore, when they translate it, I think they're translating with the both experience and knowledge. not translated by knowledge, right? So so therefore they are also very much help to clarify, and then again the Dharma, Buddhist Dharma is spreaded and flourish and is rooted in Tibet again. So, and then after Adisha, right? After Adisha, then again, there are like a long time ago, and then there are again a lot of, before Lama Tsongkhapa come, when Lama Tsongkhapa come, there were a lot of misunderstanding about meditation, a lot of misunderstanding about between Sutra and Tantra. There have many of them misunderstanding of emptiness viewpoint, again mess up. So because what I'm thinking is we do not have any debate class at the time, right? Adisha came and all his disciples are just teaching, and then disciple are receiving teaching and they meditate, receiving teaching and they meditate. They understand how much they teach it, and they meditate how much they knows. And when during the Adisha time, yes, we can ask again and again. And then after a while, like a long time after, then it's kind of like we're adding more water in the milk, right? And then and finally the milks and water is almost water, milks are turning into the water. Almost milks are becoming water, right? So because like say, now I receive teaching from my master, and then I practice. Then next, my disciple, little bit practice, less practice, but still teaching. Then next follow disciple, still like a more less practice, but still teaching. So that where they're bringing message, they're adding more water on the milk. So this is how become again the mess of a lot of misconceptions about all this practice, morality, and then the concentration and view. All these have a misconception on that. So then Lama Tsongkhapa comes and then clarified all these things. That's, I think, the third time spreading the clarifying the Dharma. So and the Lama Tsongkhapa is following as exactly instructed as Adisha, and he has his own adding things, the many misconceptions clearing, and then he found more authentic and try to follow more Indian scholar, and then also using the terms are exactly how it says in Sanskrit, like it said, shunyata, right? Shunyata is a Sanskrit, and when they translate in Tibet, Tongba Ni. Tongba is empty. Shunya is zero, zero empty. That's how we translate it. We use the exact term. So even he did not try to give the terms his own way. He used exactly the terms which is how using in Sanskrit language, right? And then, okay. So up to here now, how the Buddhism in Tibet, actually the Adisha and Lama Tsongkhapa will be the explained after the Kadamba and Gelugpa lineages. But that's related here, how many times we are up and down Buddhism in Tibet. So that's I try to share it. Okay. Any question?
Sorry, this might be a longer question than you want to answer, but the Prasangika and the Shitamatra and the Sultrantika, could you give a brief explanation of those? please?
Yeah, we do have a four tenet school, right? The four tenet school.
Those are tenants? Oh, okay.
Tenet, yeah,
Yeah.
in India.
Oh, I see.
It's
Oh,
not talking in Tibet.
oh, Prasangika is a tenant?
Yeah, Prasangika is one of the tenet school.
Oh, I see.
Sautantrika is also another tenet school. And then Chidamadra is the one of the tenet school. So
Okay.
we have a four tenet school, but at the general is four, but we have a lot of different category inside, different division inside, right? So like first tenet school is Vibhashaka has a 18 18 different school. The second also Sutantrika has also there three different school inside there, and Chitamatra also three different school, and then Madhyamika has a main two, Sotantrika and Prasangika. Sotantrika has a two different school, and the final one is Prasangika school. They do not have any devotion, just one class there, one school there. So, and they're all differentiated by their own view.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Can I ask? Sorry. Did you say that the oracle started when Payasam Bawa
Sambhava.
is? You said
In Tibet, yeah, in Tibet, that this is the first time Pema Sambhava started the oracle, using oracle, and then we having continues.
Is that because of the Bon tradition was into spirits that
No,
they brought
actually,
in the oracle?
you know, as I said, he makes oracle and invites some local deities in the human body and asks that spirit who is harming or do in Tibet who do Dharma practice. They ask the name and all these things, and then they say this and that, this and that. That's the reason he make the oracle. Only he wants to ask in front of people.
So that's like the current oracle, kind of?
Current oracle what?
And she's thinking of the interim state oracle.
Oracle means the person who can have that different consciousness, right?
Yeah.
The person always change.
No,
The person is not today.
Oh, no, but is it the same idea as the current?
Yeah, same idea. Yes, same idea. Today, today, this time, we inviting the wisdom being or consciousness in oracle with the many instrument and pray and chanting, right? So Pema Sambhava, not really, just say, come, and they come. But the same idea, I can say same idea, yeah. Here we use oracle for ask more future things, what happening, what I can do. You know, it's kind of like same as like a definition, divination, same as like a divination. We using for us future guide.
Kind of like our horoscope or something.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Geshe, from a historical perspective, looking at, over many years, and looking at how, that monasteries and religions kind of come into favor or power, and then they become unpopular, and the regular people start to think, they go against them. They think they're too privileged or whatever happens. So, I mean, this can be just a description of what happens in the West too, in Europe, for example. So
I see.
do you see any of that within you know, the early history and or just coming through the history in Tibet?
What kind of a thing?
Are you asking like about like political differences in influence in religion?
How much the, you know, if one you know, religion or one school of Buddhism or not Buddhism becomes you know, prevalent or dominant in Tibetan society, are there instances where, you know, the people actually you know, have a say, you know, whether, you know, this group is you know, we don't support them anymore, right? Does that happen? I mean, what happened in or is it always by, you know, is there always a king who's coming in and saying what's going to be? Where does, you know,
Yeah,
in other words,
I think this part is not really changed even today, in every country, because all human beings, samsaric beings, are same, could be same attitude, because most are following mental reflections. The culturally little bit that change your thought, change your view. Otherwise, as we follow mental reflections, we have all problems same in every country and every time until today. We still like say, oh, I'm this, I'm Catholic, I'm Islamic, I'm Hindu, I'm Buddhist. How much they have a strong. Even this time is more worse than earlier. Earlier, people very strong, clinging and grasping their own religious and own view, but sometimes they're listening, the reasoning. Today, even they're not listening, reasoning, right? That's getting more worse. Anyhow, yeah, this is always happening.
Yeah, I just think it's an interesting, you know, way to look at, to try and understand, you know, and if you believe that the mental afflictions are the same throughout history, then in a way, that the flip side is that's a good thing, because if you can quell the mental afflictions, you know, you can get somewhere.
Yeah, it's same. Our like a guidance, all this public, different faces, different color, different culture, different uniform, whatever, inside our guidance is same. All this ignorance and 3 poisons are our guidance.
Right. So the conclusion is that the best psychologists should rule. You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Okay, now we have, I think we do have a formal class. Each time I'm going to talk each class. Kadamba and Gelugpa, I'm going to talk same together. And then Nyingma, Kagyu, Sagya. So if you tell me what you're really expecting, then I can change the way to teach. Otherwise, as I said, I'm going to briefly talk each lineages their own 3 practice: morality, view, and concentrations, right?
Geshe, is there a text or are there texts that, you know, you would recommend, or that?
But I know we have many texts, but so far I know this all in Tibetan, but I don't know any text translated in English.
Well, that's where you talk to Chappelle and see what he thinks. Okay, so we'll find out. Thanks.
And then today I just Google it, and Wikipedia gives some good information about the four lineages. But sometimes they say, okay, that the hat is red color, hat is yellow color. This is nothing really to the reason that for having 4 lineages. You know, it's also not necessary. They say, okay, Nyingma is red color, the hat. Not always. They have a many different color of hats. Kagyu is same. They have sometimes kind of they have a yellow, not the gold yellow colors hat. They do have where the come up wearing. You see that. It's not really red hat, right? Yeah, this is sometimes some are they said it as the some general people talking, but the many things are, I think I saw it's right. Yeah. And I don't know that if Chappelle knows that the translation in English that 4 lineages. Yeah, but I don't know what translate in English. So I'm using the one of Gelugpa's master composed called Tugen Shuginima. He talks about the 4 lineages. And then earlier, the translator Gwe Lozawa, he also talks about the 4 lineages. And then Selpa Kunga Gyanzen is also, the Gwe Lozawa is one of the Kadama masters. Selpa Kunga Gyanzen, I think, is Kagyuba. He also wrote the book of the not whole 4 lineages at the time. He's very earlier. The Gelugpa is not their time. And yeah, these are the book I'm using it. One from Kagyu, one from Kadama Master, and then the Tugen Shuginyama is Gelugpa. And today, this generation, some are making the book, all this, they wrote and collected all this together. But I don't have that books. So far I'm using 3 books, but I don't know if these 3 books translate in English or not.
Well, thanks for translating for us.
Okay. So then thank you, everyone. See you next time, next Friday, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Night. Have a good night. Oh, yeah, I saw one chatting here. What's it? Glad you are recording. Oh. Okay. John Ruin. Okay. Okay, have a good night anyhow.